Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the College Football Pregame Show. Here's the deal. During my American Conference preseason preview video came out today, I said that I was going to include UConn in the video. They're even on the thumbnail. And I was going to do their picks at the end. And then, because I recorded it probably about 11 p.m. by the time I finished, I completely forgot. So now they're getting their own video coming out today. It's this one. Now, before I begin, there is a post on the channel page which A, explains the situation, and B, there's a poll on whether I should use the old UConn primary logo or the new one for graphics and thumbnails and things like that. So you go vote. I've also got a couple alternate logos that I'm going to be using for some schools on the occasion. But anyways, go vote on that when you're done watching the video. Let's get right into the team preview. There is a bit of a quarterback battle going on to start with. There's no finality, but it seems to me that the safe favorite is Jake Merklinger. The running back room looks pretty solid, maybe a little weak for my taste, but definitely nothing bad. Same deal with the wide receiver room. It's pretty average. The defense looks pretty solid. I especially like the linebacker, Kayvon Sherman, had 93 tackles last year. I am a little concerned with one thing, and that's the secondary. There's no one at any defensive back position who recorded 20 or more tackles last year, which is not necessarily indicative of a lack of talent, but definitely points to a lack of experience, which is a big question mark when you have three Power 4 opponents on your schedule as an independent. So I'm a little worried about the secondary. And Jason Candle is the incoming head coach after 10 years at Toledo. He was absolutely excellent, kept the program running at a very high level, has now come to Stores, and might end up being pretty good. I like his coaching resume, so hopefully he'll do pretty good for the Huskies. Now I'm going to get right into the preview and the picks. In Week 1, UConn plays FCS opponent Lafayette. Pretty self-explanatory. I think UConn can handle that one. Week 2, they are playing at home against Maryland. Maryland was not very good last year. However, I'm not sure if UConn has the talent to take care of a Big Ten opponent, even if it is at home. So I'm going to stick with the Terrapins here. And then at Southern Miss, talked about Southern Miss in my Sun Belt video. I picked UConn. I'm definitely going to stick with that pick. Southern Miss is in pretty rough shape after Memphis took Charles Huff and most of the best players on the roster. Go Tigers. But Southern Miss is not looking like a very strong football team this year. Then they play on the road against Miami of Ohio, who I did pick to have a pretty rough season, but I think I'm going to keep Miami of Ohio beating UConn because I don't think they have a lack of talent. It's just they may not be consistent enough to really compete in the MAC. I am going to have them beat UConn. That just seems like a game they win at home. Then in Week 5, UConn plays at home against Syracuse. Syracuse has been pretty mid in the ACC under Fran Brown, who's an excellent coach, by the way. However, he just can't seem to get the roster he needs to really succeed. That said, I am going to take Syracuse on the road against UConn. UConn, I will also have losing on the road against Temple Owls, which means I believe, like a 2-4 start to the season I'm picking them to have. I think they will pick it up a little bit from there. Temple seems just like a fairly strong football team. Casey Keeler's been a pretty good coach. Maybe not good enough to really be a contender in the American Conference, but definitely not bad. And then UConn goes to their rivalry game against UMass. I don't think that has a name. If it has a name, please tell me. This has been a pretty dominant and one-sided rivalry for the past, 40 years. I don't even know if it's been around that long. UConn is just a better program. UMass has really struggled, especially last couple years. Winless last year. I am picking them to win 3 games this year, which is kind of depressing that that's a good season for them. But I am going to take UConn at home. Then I'm going to take UConn beating Air Force on the road. Air Force looks like one of the worst teams in the Mountain West this year. I don't have a lot of faith in them. Now, going to Week 10, I am going to pick UConn to beat North Carolina at home because Bill Belichick was a very good coach for the New England Patriots. However, I just don't know if he's the guy for North Carolina. It's not too late for him to turn it around, but this seems like a bit of a trap game going all the way to Stores in the middle of the conference season. I'm going to take UConn at home. And then I think they will not be so fortunate against James Madison, who is my pick to win the Sun Belt. Sorry if I spoiled my Sun Belt video for you. My bad. You can go watch it. It's on the channel page. James Madison is pretty darn good this year. Maybe not as good as last year. I don't think good enough to win the playoffs or make the playoffs. But I think they can handle UConn even in Stores. Then in Week 12, I'm picking UConn at home against Old Dominion. The Monarchs are okay this year. Ricky Raines a pretty solid coach, but I don't know if they have it in them to get that win on the road. And then finally, to cap the season off, I'm going to have UConn finishing 7-5 with a win over Mountain West Wyoming, who's just really not looking to be very good this year. And that's going to do it. UConn goes to a bowl game. And that's it for the UConn video. We'll see you next Saturday for the Pac-12 episode. Weekly preseason previews every Saturday, and then weekly pregame shows, hence the name of the channel, every Saturday during the season. Not just me, fortunately. That'd be really boring listening to one person yap every Saturday for an entire football season and then the off season. So you can catch that here on the channel. That's going to do it. Go vote in that poll. We will see you next week.